Hello, everyone. We'll start in about 3 or 4 minutes. If you guys will just give a wait with us so we can get some other people on. Thank you. Hello, we will get started in a couple moments, so please give us a couple minutes, all right? Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. First off, thank you everybody for coming in for our holiday edition for the registration area. I'm really excited to see everybody again today. Let me start with introducing myself. My name is Carrie Doring. I am the Assistant Director here at the One Stop Enrollment Center. Like you, I was a UTSA alumni for my undergrad and my graduate, so I understand where all of you guys are coming from, all the issues you guys are having. I completely understand. A big part of my job is campus outreach, which is why these live Q&As were created. I'm really trying to help you all out in the process of finding information on your ASAP account or just navigating without having to call One Stop if it's something that we can assist you with. So let's get started. I do want to say I do have Cassandra Gomez on our call with us. She will be assisting in the chat. If you do have any questions, please don't be afraid to ask there. She is there to help you guys out with any questions you might have individually. So the first thing I want to go ahead and go over, of course, is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, aka FERPA. I'm sure if you've called or have one of your parents call, we always ask, hey, do you have a FERPA on file for your parent? Essentially, what this is, it's a federal law that protects the privacy of the student's educational records, which is really important to us. On the right-hand side here, we have 5 simple steps to complete the FERPA proxy. If we don't have this on file for your parents, we will not release information per your account. So what you're going to end up doing is going into your ASAP account. On the top area, you're going to see a tab and it says FERPA/proxy tab. On there, you'll do the add FERPA proxy user, and then you'll expand and add your parents' information. It'll be the name, their date of birth, and then a password. It doesn't just have to be parents. It could be a significant other if you'd like, or anybody that you want calling on your behalf. It's really important to have this on file. If it's not on file and they're asking for specific information, we cannot release that info. The next part of step 4 is you need to select the appropriate check boxes under the authorization tab. If this is not done and you started the process but didn't finish, we cannot release information. So there's going to be different types of areas. So maybe questions about your billing, questions about your transcripts or your grades, or maybe you have a parking ticket that you don't want people to know about. So you need to make sure to go in there and check everything we can discuss with your parent, significant other, or any person calling on your behalf. Like I said, this is really important. If not, we can't discuss anything with the parent. Lastly, after that's done, an email authorization will be sent to the FERPA and proxy so they can set up their account. So if you guys do have any questions about this, we do have a link at the bottom that you can select, and I think Cassandra will add that to the chat as well if you want to look at FERPA. So the next couple slides are really going to be different errors that you guys are getting when you register, or maybe holds that are preventing registration. So the first thing we want to talk about are registration errors. These are the most common that the One Stop Enrollment Center does see when you guys call us, so I wanted to kind of cover them a little bit. The first one is the time conflict error. This is an error when 2 or more of your classes are at the exact same time. If this is happening, you have one of 2 options. You can either select another class that isn't within that time frame, or you can complete the time conflict error form. It is under the registration forms area of the One Stop, and Cassandra will link that for you. What'll end up happening on that form is one professor will sign it and the other one as well. Usually you can get that done if there's like a 5-minute overlapping. Once that's approved and uploaded through the document uploader, you will have the override done to where you can register for those courses. Another area that we look at is the level restriction. So if you're an undergrad student trying to take grad classes or vice versa, we typically don't allow this unless you have special circumstances. We do have a form under the registrar forms area as well that will provide that special circumstance override. Not many of our students will deal with this. It's more so for our graduate students who are trying to intern to graduate school. I think the most common error that we receive is the prereq and test score error. So essentially, you have not taken the course that is supposed to be taken to take the current course that you want to take. Maybe you're currently enrolled in both of them. If that's the case, you need to do the prereq override form, or your advisor has to override. I think the fastest way though is to do that prereq and override form. If this is not done, you will get dropped for those classes. So for spring semester, we will drop for the prereq and test score errors on January 3rd. Emails were sent this week to students if they are going to be dropped because they don't have the necessary courses. Next, we have the duplicate section. So essentially you're in a course, but you're already registered. You can't have the same course registered twice, so you would have to drop one and then add the other one. Another one that we see is the linked course require. So essentially, a lot of your bio classes will have a second course that you have to take, maybe a lab and lecture. So when you're adding them, you want to add both CRNs at the exact same time. If you don't, then it's going to come up with this linked course required error, and you're not going to be able to register for one without the other. Another big one that we see is the student attribute. So essentially, if you are an on-campus student and trying to take online only classes, like for online programs, you're not going to be able to do that. And vice versa. If it's an online program student and they're trying to take an on-campus class, they're not going to be able to. That student attribute is not going to allow you to. You would have to sign up for courses that are specific to those um, programs. So online programs need to specify for online programs, and on campus would be for on campus. And then lastly, campus restriction. It's very similar to the student attribute. So if you're an on-campus student, you can only take on-campus classes and vice versa for online. Now we're going to get into some holds that you might see that will prevent registration. A big one that we're seeing right now are transcript holds. The biggest thing about this is that we cannot lift holds if we do not see the transcripts on file. So you would have to contact your university of where the transcript is coming from and have them send that to UTSA. And you can have them send it to the email apply@utsa.edu. That's the electronic way, or you can have them brought to the One Stop Enrollment Center. We are in person on main campus and downtown. So we are at both campuses if that's something that you guys need. And then also paper transcripts can be mailed. Of course, this will be the longest option. Not many students want to do that because they're trying to get that hold lifted immediately. But it's important for me to say is that we cannot lift holds or push them if we don't have the transcripts on file. Another common hole that we're seeing right now is the bacterial meningitis record. It is a requirement for our students to have the proof of the vaccination on file. You submit your record through the MedProctor site. If the shot record is not submitted, the student either will not be able to be registered or they will be dropped from their courses. So it's really important that you submit this. You can log into MedProctor with your UTSA ID and passphrase to get started. You have to confirm your date of birth and then go through all of the terms and conditions of that. You'll upload your immunization record. I think right now they're about a 2 to 3 business turnaround time. So the sooner you get this in, the better. We do have a site for this at the bottom, and Cassandra will link in as well. Okay, so the next one is our Texas Success Initiatives, the TSI scores. Let me bring all these up. Oops. Okay, so what this is saying is that you are not meeting the requirements for specific classes to register just yet. So you can either do one of two options. If you have ACT or SAT scores, you can submit those over to us, or you can sign up for the test through ASAP. That's probably the fastest way, but a lot of students have the ability to waive the TSI scores with their ACT and SAT scores. So you would have to have those sent from the testing agency because that's the only way that we can accept those. Sometimes you can submit your dual credit transcripts in lieu as well. And all of that will allow us to waive that TSI. We really want this done before you see advising. That way, when you do go see advising, you're already ready, you know what you need to take, and your advisor can kind of make that course plan with you through that. At the bottom of the side, it does have our testing service contact information. If you guys need to contact them, this will be recorded. You can come back and look at this. And then also, I will explain later, we have other resources that you guys could use as well. Okay, so the next thing we have on here is the document uploader. I'm talking about submitting all of these documents and how am I supposed to do that? So we have this good tool called the document uploader. This allows you to submit any kind of documents for admissions, registration, financial aid, anything like that. It's a secure site. What you're going to end up doing is going into the document uploader, putting in your ASAP info, and then selecting whatever form you're submitting. So for registration, it's a lot of registration forms. So you'll click for registrar and then you'll select the form that you're looking at submitting. Once you submit that, we usually get it in between 24 to 48 business hours, and then we will process the form when we can. And then usually you get an email back saying, hey, this form has been processed. This is the quickest and most efficient way to submit documentation to us. If you want to come in, like I said, we are open in the one stop on the main and downtown campus, but this is the best way if you don't want to come up to campus. We've been getting a lot of calls about out-of-state residency right now. So I did want to cover some information on residency. If you're an out-of-state resident and paying, tuition and fees, but you think that you're a Texas resident, you can go ahead and submit this documentation to us that would allow us to review your residency. You're going to submit your residency application, your core residency questionnaire, and then any supporting documents. These will also be uploaded through that awesome document uploader, and they'll review it to see if we can put you in an in-state residency. If they cannot, they will let you know to say, hey, unfortunately, you don't meet the requirements. This is what will be needed to be done at this point. Name change. So right now, name change is a big hit in our office. So I wanted to cover some kind of documentation that you guys can submit. So maybe you're getting married, maybe you're getting divorced, maybe you're just going through a name change. We understand that that process is a lot, so we want to make it as simple as possible. So you'll submit the name change form that you can get through our registration forms, and then you're going to submit the supporting documentation with that. Typically, it's 2 supporting documentation. So if you're getting married, you're going to submit your new driver's license with your new last name. And then, of course, your marriage certificate. That can both be uploaded through the document uploader. If you don't know what would qualify as 2 supporting documents, you can go through our website, and it definitely covers a little bit more in depth what kind of documents can be submitted. It is here on the website, and Cassandra will link as well. All right, so waitlist. Waitlist is essentially where all of our classes are full, but you're like, hey, I want to get on this list to maybe get into this class. So right now, there's 3 different steps that you need to do. First, get on the list. You need to add yourself to the waitlist during registration period in ASAP. The second is you need to check your email daily. Right now, our waitlist notifies students by email if a seat does become available, and it's for 24 hours. Eventually, once school starts, it will change to every 12 hours because it'll make it a lot quicker. So you guys need to be checking your emails, and it's going to be your UTSA email, not your personal. And then lastly, if you do get that registration email, you need to go into your ASAP and register for that course. If you miss a time period, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do. You would have to put yourself back on that wait list. Last I checked, the wait list ends on January 24th for the spring semester. So you still have some time. So just keep that in mind. Please check your emails even through the holiday next week. It's really important. If you miss that time period, we can't do anything about it. You're going to have to add yourself back to the wait list. So right now, DegreeWorks is your friend if you're trying to find out what classes you need to register for. One Stop does not handle any degree planning, but I definitely wanted to include this in for you guys because we do get a lot of questions. Your advisor is the one to help you set up any kind of courses that you may need to take. They do have contact information and are open. Their phone number is 210-458-4900, or you can go set up from their website. We created these videos on our DegreeWorks site to show you how to navigate into DegreeWorks. So if you're not familiar with that, those instructional videos are very good to look at and how to navigate DegreeWorks. But that's the easiest place to go through to find out what classes are needed for you in your degree and to graduate. Okay, so we're here for the final area, which is how am I going to pay for my classes? This is something we're always asked and something I will always cover. So the biggest takeaway from this is financial aid pays out to your accounts overnight on January 6th. Okay, so that's a really big thing. Financial aid pays out January 6th overnight, but the payment arrangement, whether it be financial aid, tuition and fee loan, you paying out of pocket, or an installment plan, needs to be on file by January 10th. So let me go over these options with you. So the first one we have is the installment plan, or as we call it, the payment extension. This breaks your payment up into 3 different payments. The first payment is 30% of your bill, and that's required when you sign up for the installment plan. There is a $16 fee associated, and it will be added to your bill. And then in February and March, you will have 35% of your bill remaining and 35% of your bill remaining where you will pay. There's specific dates, and you can find those on the website. This is a very good plan for people who want to break their payment up into threes. So I really recommend this. This is something that you want to do. We also have the out-of-pocket option. Not many of my students can do this, but some can. And if you are looking to do this, you can go through the fiscal service tab and select Rowdy Pay. It's going to bring you into the fiscal area where you can go make payment. You can also enroll in the installment plans in this area as well. So just keep that in mind. If these are your 2 options, you're going to select fiscal services, the Rowdy Pay box, and go in and make payment or set up your installment plan. The most used option here lately is the tuition and fee loan. What this does is essentially says, hey, I'm waiting to either make payment or I'm waiting for financial aid to come in, so give me some time. And it pushes your payment to the end of the semester. I know it says tuition and fee loan, and typically they have interest associated with this, but we have waived the interest for spring semester. So essentially, you're just pushing your payment until the end of the semester, but you will still have to make payment on your account. But at least with this option, you will not get $100 late fees and you will not be dropped on census date. So keep that in mind. You can find this through your fiscal service tab under the tuition and fee loan application. A couple things to remember about this is that you're going to need 3 different references. You're going to need contact information for them. So you're going to need phone numbers and addresses, and all the references, addresses need to be different. If they're the same, we're going to have to go ahead and deny the loan because we need 3 different people with different addresses and phone numbers. So keep this in mind. This is a really good option to have if your financial aid is not going to pay out on January 6th, but allow you to have some kind of payment arrangement by January 10th. Okay, so lastly, we have set up direct deposit. So, Carrie, my financial aid paid out, all the things have paid out to my account. When am I going to get my refund? I have books to take care of, I have housing to take care of. So, what you're going to want to do with this is go set up direct deposit if you haven't done so yet. That's going to be through your fiscal service tab at the bottom of the page. You're going to select direct deposit. You're going to need information like your routing number and your bank account number. That's really important. This is the fastest and easiest way for you to get your refund quickly. Typically, after payment, you'll receive your refund within the week. If you decide not to set up direct deposit, then unfortunately what happens is we mail it out and check. And of course, postal, we depend on postal for this, so it could take 1 to 2 weeks depending on where you guys are at. So keep this in mind. This is the fastest way to get your refund. That is the end for us here, but I do have a couple caveats that I want to tell you guys. First thing is submit your FAFSA by the priority deadline of January 15th for 23-24. This will get you the most kind of funding for next year, so please submit that over the holiday break. At the end of this, you will get a survey. If you wouldn't mind completing it, I would really appreciate it. One Stop will be closed next week for the holiday. We'll be closed from December 26th to the 30th. So unfortunately, we won't be here to answer your questions, but I have a couple of resources for you. First, we're going to have our live Q&As on the website. Through the week, we'll be posting them after we're done with them, so look out for that. And then also, we created these videos on demand. Right now, we have these resource videos that will teach you guys about your financial aid, how to go in there, teach you about registration errors, anything about you've been admitted, what's the next step. So please utilize these resources while we are out. We will come back on January 2nd and ready to help you guys out. So it was a pleasure meeting everybody today. If you have any questions, we'll be on for a couple more minutes. Please ask in the chat and we'd love to help you all. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, it looks like we have no questions. It was a pleasure seeing everyone. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you in 2023. Thanks, everyone.